Hello, and welcome to the Global Luxury Real Estate Mastermind with me, your host, Michael Valdes. Today's guest, oh my God, this guy has more energy than I do. I am so excited to have him on the show today. Elias Astuto is the head of Fast Real Estate powered by eXp, based out of the Northern California area. Elias, how are you, my brother?
It's good, my man. And I will have to with all discretion, I don't go by Elias, I go by Elias.
Elias, I'm sorry, that's my first mistake.
But yeah, I'm really grateful to be here, and definitely thank you for having me.
Oh, brother, I'm so glad you're on here. This is so great. And so you're sitting, I'm going to just start by where you're sitting, because just before we were on live, you were telling me that your workspace is 9,000 square feet, and it was an old nightclub. I love that.
Yeah.
Tell me that says so much about the spirit of your team, the idea that it's like this open concept. You were sharing with me that in the back, you've got a gym where you are now. This is so awesome.
I'm actually sitting in, Kenny's in Cancun right now, and this is his setup. And this is going to be like our VIP section. Before the end of the podcast, I'll take you on a quick little tour of the office. But
I would love
Kenny
that.
lives literally a scooter ride down the road. Kenny Chung is the founder of Fast Real Estate. He lives a scooter ride down the road. And when we landed this office, we literally had a 300 square foot office when our team first launched across the street at the waterfront. And now, to think less than 3 years later, we have a 9,000 square foot office here in the heart of Jack London Square in Oakland. So yeah, it's apps. And Kenny and I, neither one of us, nor does any of the senior leadership team, have an office. This is kind of just Kenny's area. I'm working back in here, but none of us really have any offices, which I'm totally fine with.
And you know, it's so funny. We were just talking about this offline, and you know, you worked for Climb, and Chris Lim is a dear friend of mine, the founder of Climb. And you know, it's so reminiscent of like that open space that he had. And so it's like you were just saying there's some DNA of that there.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, there's an old adage that says, once a climber, always a climber, because it meant so much to us. And like when we still talk about it when we're growing and doing attraction meetings, and when we're talking about, you know, like where did some of the thoughts come from and some of the methodologies and brand tenets, like we have nothing but love and respect for Chris Lim and what he built. And I think that he'll see once he comes into this office, like, you know, things that maybe like pull at his heartstrings a little bit, because it will remind him of how beautiful that, you know, Climb was and what it meant to us. And I think in essence, we've put it on steroids and made it even 10 times better than it could have ever been. And we always are grateful for our roots.
That's so amazing. Yeah, I love that about you. So we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in real estate.
Yeah, you know what? I got started in real estate kind of by almost like by accident. And so let me elaborate. When I originally got my license, my intention was to go and work in Carmel, right on the water, overlooking the ocean, selling timeshare for the Hyatt at the time. I had been in the timeshare business and resort business for many years, had the opportunity to get my license, go move out to Carmel. And so studied, got my real estate license. But before I took my test, I had an appendectomy 3 days before my real estate exam. And so I went and had surgery. I wasn't even supposed to drive, wasn't even supposed to go take the test, hobbled myself in there, took my real estate exam, passed in 59 minutes, hobbled myself out there, opened a little envelope. I remember in the elevator, I couldn't even jump up for joy, but it was definitely a really powerful moment. Then I went and worked in Carmel, did really well, selling like Concourse de Elegance weeks for like $70,000 for 1 week. Well, at the time, I had left a girlfriend that later on became my wife, that later on became my ex-wife. Anyways, I went back to Fresno and I said, all right, I'm going to hang my license with London Properties and I'm going to start selling real estate. And so I just started selling real estate because I believed in it and I wanted to do it then. And then went back into timeshare. I was a public speaker for a huge resort for many years. So that's how I used my license. And then I moved out to the Bay Area from Lake Tahoe. When I moved to the Bay Area, I was running a marketing company for a timeshare, or a big timeshare resort. Well, I'd do all these fairs all throughout the Bay Area. And I'd put together like these booths and we would book appointments for the resorts. Well, I had my license. I was like, I'm going to go and hang my license and sell real estate. Well, I walk into Coldwell Banker corporate in the Bay Area. I'm sitting with the guy who is now my dear friend and mentor. We're sitting there, and within 5 minutes, Michael, he says, "You're not a good fit for Coldwell Banker." I was like, okay, cool. Then I'm going to go somewhere else. And right then, the fire alarm went off at headquarters in Coldwell Banker. Everyone had to evacuate the building. Thousands and thousands of people going down the stairwell. So we're standing in front of this building. Everyone's on the street. And I'm like, hey, man, do you want to continue our conversation? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I think I have some more things to say. So we went to Mimi's Cafe, had some coffee. And then in that conversation, he said, you know what? I like what you have to say. He's like, we're actually looking for a leader. And if you'd be interested in being a leader with our company, write me the best email that you've ever written. And I was like, cool. So I went to the drawing board and just sat and wrote for about 2 hours, wrote him the best email. And then in less than 2 weeks, I was on a plane to New Jersey to meet the vice president of Coldwell Banker and ended up landing the position of the district sales manager for Coldwell Banker for the Powered by Zip team. It was the second largest online team for Coldwell Banker in the United States of America. So that was my entry into leadership. That was 7 years ago.
That is a crazy story. Yeah. It's all about a fire alarm.
Fire alarm. Yeah. And for him telling me, and I kind of like, I had a chip. I was like, wait a minute, how do you know, like in 5 minutes of talking with me, like I'm not a good fit for this environment? So I was like, I had more to prove. And I'm glad that I had that opportunity because the fire alarm went off to tell him more of my story.
The universe was on your side that day, my brother.
100%. 100%.
You know? And guess what Coldwell Banker would have missed in not having you? You were an incredible leader. You were an incredible trainer. You've changed the lives of so many people because of what you do. Tell me a little bit about your training and your public speaking. I mean, you're amazing on the stage, and it really is. Somebody just like wants to listen to you, wants to follow what you say, and you've really built that to help so many.
I appreciate that. So when I look back at, I've had many influences, but Don Tanagan, who's still, one of the regional managers for Coldwell Banker, he told me, when you start this position, first off, in 30 days, I want you to fill the house and I want you to do a quarterly award ceremony. He's like, I don't have an agenda for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if you're a great leader, you're going to show me by moving people. He said, great leaders move people. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. It was a hit. I had tons of people there. And I remember him telling me, he said, listen, when you're on stage in front of everybody, don't speak to be heard, speak to add value. Right. And it really hit me because I've been a public speaker for years and I've been a leader for years. And like those two bits of advice, leaders move people. And then he's like, I'm going to give you 7 months and I'm going to make you a world-class coach. He's like, just watch 7 months. You're going to understand the business. You're going to understand human behavior and you're going to understand how to move people based on changing human behavior. So I'm like, cool, I'm here for the ride. And so speak to add value, not to be heard. I'm going to turn you into a world-class coach, and leaders move people. And that was like literally my first year, and I ended up being number 2 in the whole entire country for lead conversion. And I really solidified my stance as, you know what? I know I've always had influence on people, but let me use influence on people to help them change their own lives and increase their productivity. And so, yeah, I've learned a lot. I mean, it's been 7 years, but man, I think the last 7 years, I feel like I've gotten a master's or a doctorate in just understanding human behavior. Because I've had a lab. I always tell agents, I don't have all the answers, but I've had a lab of thousands of agents now in my career that I've had the fortunate opportunity to work alongside and to coach.
100%. And that's what it is. Listen, the best coaches learn from their students as well. And so we're always sort of doing this as something that it's a fluid motion of what we're doing. It actually brings me to my next question. How do you motivate your team?
So I think of motivation in a completely different way. I think that motivation is the moment. And what I mean by that is I believe that motivation and inspiration is fleeting, right? It feels good in the moment, but I apologize to the team that if I don't motivate you or inspire you enough to take action, right? I want to lift everybody up, but then also give them key things that they can do to take action and inspire and motivate them to take action. So I might motivate them in the moment, and that's cool and it feels good. But to me, it's not enough. I feel that motivation needs to carry over to action. And the way that I see that is when they make their videos, when they make their calls, when they get into contract, when they're celebrating their wins, like that's what is motivating to me is like or that's how I motivate them. I motivate them to take action, right? I don't believe in the moment of motivation because that is fleeting. I believe in creating an environment where they're motivated enough to take action. And the way that I've been doing that is coaching in the sense of accountability. I feel that when agents talk with me, there's always going to be a level of accountability. It's like, cool, like I want to build friendships. I want to build bonds within the environment. But just like Chris Lim used to do, he might put you on the spot in a second, be like, what's your unique value proposition? Wait a minute, I thought we were just having a cool conversation. What's your unique value proposition, right? So there's this level of accountability. So there's a standard that is set. And I also do group coaching 3 times a week. So we do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those rooms are about 100 people each time on Zoom. Monday is all about mindset, motivation, and intent, and how you won the week prior. Wednesday is a high-level conversation about the market, what's going on in the market, that's my daughter, what's going on in the market, having this collective wisdom about the real estate market. And then on Friday, it's full circle accountability, holding everyone accountable to what they want to accomplish, not what I'm saying that they should accomplish.
I love that. That's awesome. And so tell me now, okay, so let's talk about brand for a moment. Yeah. So, you were at Coldwell Banker, you were at BH&G also, we talked about Klein. So you had all the same Realogy brands I did. Yeah. And so it was, now you're at eXp, right? And so there's a shift. There's a shift from when the brand was the brand and under eXp, the agent's the brand. And so there's a mindset shift there. So how did you actually sort of go through that journey for yourself?
I think we went through it. Kenny has always been a genius in regards to marketing and branding. And so when we look at the agents of tomorrow, what we've realized is that it's no longer about the brokerage. It's more so about the individual brand. And so our claim to fame is really helping agents develop a brand that is indicative to who they are as a human being. What are their core values? What are their core standards? Who do they want to be seen as in the world? And let's help that develop, right? A lot of agents like, well, I want to have a brand. Well, what does that mean? What's the purpose? And what are the core values behind that? So we probably have about 60 brands inside of Fast Real Estate and Team Fast. So if they never want to rock our brand at all, they don't have to, and there's no pressure to do so. In our market here at eXp, when we first came in 2020, there was a few players in eXp, but not too many. So what I feel we did is we made the brand very, very sexy here locally. We became the go-to team to come to for eXp. And what I think this has allowed us to do, and I say this all the time to people that we're attracting to our company, we were able to throw conformity as far out the window and create the brand our way. We didn't have to ask for guidance. We didn't have to ask for forgiveness. We didn't have to ask for permission. We were able to do it our way. And that's why we're always seen as different. When people think about Team Fast and Fast Real Estate, it's different and unique because we're always showcasing the difference within our agents and how they show up in the world, whether it's long hair, tattoos, rocking a Harley Davidson, fast car, whatever it is. So when they look at our brand, there's always something fresh and innovative because we're always leading with all of these characters within our environment. We do have a nice brand. It's sexy. It's synonymous with the Bay Area. But if they never want to rock that, they don't have to. So we saw this immersion through pandemic of personal branding being more important than ever. And working along Kenny and having a pretty good eye for branding myself, studying branding, listening to the things that Kenny has told me along the years, we're able to really look at branding and style and color and fonts and shapes and margins and really say, let's think about this with agents. Like, oh, I have this brand. Well, that doesn't look good. And there's 4 different types of font. So we're able to really, from a design standpoint, help agents develop something that's going to look crisp and has a purpose behind it. Has a purpose.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Now you've touched the lives of many people, but let me ask you, what's the greatest lesson you've learned in your career thus far?
I think for me, like in my 20s and early 30s, like at that time, it felt like ego was so important to me, but it's like I'm 42 years old now. I have a family. I have learned so much. I think like throwing your ego as far out the door as you possibly can and understanding that in order to be a great leader, the number one thing that you have to get focused on is how do I serve others to the highest ability? And then I'll grow myself, right? So it's like throw ego out the side. There's no pretentiousness. This is all about them. How can I elevate them? How can I build them up? Yeah, I definitely want the spotlight, but I want a spotlight because I've served and helped and contributed to so many people's lives. Before, it was a singular thought. Now it's a universal thought. And I think that was one of the biggest mindset shifts for me, is that you go from this singular way of thinking to now this universal language and this global way of thinking, and it removes it from you and it puts it to them. So that's, for me, was the biggest lesson.
You know, you and I were just at a conference in Cabo together, and there was Jarek Robbins had sort of like talked about the second mountain, right? And so the first mountain is when we start in our own careers and building for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that second mountain is realizing that then we're building for others.
Yes.
And I think once we sort of get to that second mountain, you look down on the first one and you realize, wow, I wish I would have done that earlier.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what could I have done differently in my career at an early age if I would have thought about that? But that's part of growing up too. I'm just more.
Trust me, I know. I'm older than you are.
I'm more like aware, self-aware. I'm more humble now. I'm just more mature. I'm also a whole heck of a lot older too. So yeah, that's what I believe on that.
All right. So give me bullet points. Give me somebody coming into the industry today. What would be 3 pieces of advice that you would give them? You probably do this every single day for people coming and knocking on your door.
If someone's going to come into our environment, don't step in this ring if you're not willing to take a knock on the chin, right? This is an environment where it's going to get tough. You're going to take some knocks on the chin. But what you will learn here is you'll learn strategies. You'll learn how to counter. You'll learn how to be a prize fighter. But you have to understand that you're probably going to take some knocks on the chin, and it's going to be scary. That's one of the advices I give to everybody. 2, you have to have grit in this business. You have to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try. I'm going to do the gritty things in order for me to have the success. Because what so many people see is they see the sexy, they see the self-glorification of real estate, right? It's cool, the cars and balling out. They see that. What they don't see is the grit that it takes you to get to those things that are now consumer facing, whatever it is, right? So I believe that grit is super, super important. And one of my other key bits of advice is that you have to have high level of EQ and empathy. If you're not able to feel and understand emotion at a high level, this may not be the industry for you, because you're going to deal with a wave of emotions on your own, right? But then you're also going to have to understand humans and their emotion, and you have to understand how to navigate through those. So those are things that I recommend for any agents. If I'm just going to list 3, I could go on and on, but if I had to pick 3, those would be the 3 levels of advice.
Those are pretty brilliant, actually. And you know, one of the things people sort of like see your persona, and you fill a room, my brother, and so they see your persona, but they don't sort of see what you do in the background. And so you're very philanthropic, and I know that you've been involved with Habitat for Humanity for over a decade. I think it's been like 12 years from my research. It's sort of like, you know, it's a beautiful side of who you are. Tell me about that. Tell me about that part of you.
So, you know, that part of me I need to spend more time on that, because I remember there was a time where we were doing neighborhoods, you know, sponsoring families, giving back at Christmas, you know, taking, you know, families and providing them a house and a tree and groceries and building. Yeah. And I spent some time with John Pugh a couple of weeks back at a mastermind, and he's doing these huge, like mission-driven events all throughout the world, and wells and water in Kenya. And I'm like the position that we have now, it's like, it's great to build, but I'm like, I want to build something that's bigger than us. And so it's actually, man, I'm glad that you asked that question, because to be honest, that's something that I need to spend more time on, because I think that it makes us even more human, that we're seen as the people that give back, the people that are building and growing and contributing in such a big level, right? We have, you know, everyone can make money, but it's like, how much am I contributing to the world? If we can go and help people have wells in Kenya, and like what that does for these villages and these people, like, it's amazing. So tune in later, because there's going to be more to this story. And this all comes like John Pugh's like, man, let's mission-driven business. And we've been talking about this a lot as a company and as a team, building true missions within our environment, because we have the ability and the platform to do so. We just need to take action.
I got to tell you what we're doing as a company, as eXp, and this initiative that we're doing with New Story and building 100 homes in Mexico. From all of the trips that I've done, the most excited that I am is the trip that we're going to do in June.
Yes.
To go see the village that we built. And it's amazing. 89 of the homes have already been built of the 100 homes. Wow. People have already started moving in. And imagine these were families that were homeless, 11 months ago. And so that's like what I'm excited about. It's sort of like, the trips we go to are fun, right? Yeah. It's sort of like we're all in community. We've got 1,000, 5,000, 7,000 of us all in community, and they're great. But this is the trip that I'm most looking forward to. And there'll be like 8 of us on the trip. It'll be like amazing. It'll just be amazing.
Like when you think about it too, like we don't really have problems. Yeah, we have problems. We have struggles, but like imagine
we can take care of them.
Yeah, like imagine not having a house. Like for them to be like so grateful for someone doing that for them, that's going to last a lifetime. They'll never forget that.
It's going to last generationally. It's crazy. Yeah. So, but I love what you said, mission-driven business. That's a powerful statement because it really drives you.
Yeah, totally. And I think we need to do more of it.
Yeah. So tell me where this spirit came from. Who's been the most influential person in your life?
2 people, if I think personally, I think my mom and then Tony Robbins had a huge play in my life early on. My mom, because my mom, grew up single mom, addicted to drugs, like didn't give us the best life that she could. But then now when I look back at her, now today, she's sober. She has been for many, many years. She's a wonderful, wonderful grandma. She's a wonderful mom. And so it's just like, hey, she was dealt a bad hand, made some wrong choices in life and then was able to overcome it. And she is the best grandma I could ever ask for my children. And so like, that's really, really inspirational to see how she changed around her life. And then I remember I got the Unleash the Power Within at the time. It was like a DVD set. Or CD set or whatever it was. There was like 6 things and you'd play them and then you would journal every single night. And so I really just took a deep dive into like mental conditioning, personal development, like the 30 minutes to thrive, and like took a deep dive into who I was as a person, my mind, understanding my emotions, and really becoming this more self-aware human being and man. And I'll tell you what, that like changed my life forever. And I've never looked back. Like there's no like, oh, like once in a while I do mental conditioning. It's just part of who I am as a person. So when people meet me, oh, wow, like you're super strong mentally. Well, I wasn't always this way. I conditioned myself to be this way. Peak states don't just arrive. You have to demand it of yourself. So it's like, now I'm in control. I know exactly what I need to do to put myself in a peak state, how to do it, how I'm feeling, being aware. And now I'm able to see that in other human beings and see. So when I'm coaching, it's not just coaching to an agent, KPIs and numbers and phone calls, that's all important. But now I'm able to coach to the human being. And when you coach the human being, you can influence change because you've influenced their behavior. And so, man, Tony Robbins and my mom are definitely 2 key influential people in my life.
Well, both did really a great job. It's amazing to see the product of it.
Thanks,
so I've got one final question for you, my brother. So in your book of life, what's this chapter called?
This chapter of life is it's almost, I don't know, let me bottle this, like wealth building. And what I mean by that is like I've given myself 8 more years that I'm going to give to this business. And then I my plan is not hope, I'm going to retire. So I'm 42 years old by the time I'm 50. So this stage of my life is now reflecting on finances, building my organization. How can I have a legacy that far surpasses my ability just to coach and help run a brokerage, right? What's after that? How am I going to build? And so that's really what this stage is like. My mind is like, well, how can I contribute at a higher level? And how can I build wealth in different ways? And I think more so now, and I wish I wish eXp would have been in my life at 30 years old, different conversation, but nonetheless, I'm here now. I'm excited about where we are. So this is definitely the chapter of wealth building in my life.
I love that. This has been a great conversation, but actually I want to take you up on the tour. Show me a space before we end here.
All right, cool. Let's do this. Michael, what's
the space?
What's your official title, Michael?
I'm the president of eXp Global.
Okay, cool. All right. All right, guys, I'm on a podcast with the president of eXp Global. We're on a podcast that's going to go global.
Hey, guys.
So check this out. So like I said,
look at this space. I love this.
It's like the Google of real estate. We have these little pods over here. And then here's what we launched a couple weeks back. I told Brian, who's Kenny's brother, is like our facilities manager. I was like, I need a stage. And I want to be able to host conferences here.
There you go.
I want to do masterminds and panels here. So this is officially FAST headquarters, and really excited. There's Brian's car.
This is awesome.
Yeah, we have a full kitchen over here. We have a bar that's going in. And so,
of course you do.
And Brian's also our resident chef. And so there'll be days where he'll cook breakfast for everybody. Yeah, so it's great, man. It definitely has a different feel.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. It just is reminiscent of who you are, who your spirit is, and it's been amazing. So thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for continuing to touch so many people's lives.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm just in a very, very grateful position. I'm grateful for Kenny for allowing me to lead beside him and to grow this company, because I've always believed in the vision. And so he knows that, hey, I'm going to always catapult this vision and protect our culture. So, Michael, I appreciate the time and the energy, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And thank you all of you for listening. This has been the Global Luxury Real Estate Mastermind with me, your host, Michael Valdes.